Welcome and well met, mortals, friends, foes, freaks, vampires, vegans, worshippers of Wumpscut, ghosts, witches, sinners, losers, winners, and beautiful little bats, once again to a very special radio program associated with Dancing with the Dark, our Sunday night gothic and industrial dance party known as Speaking with the Dark. This is in fact our third and hopefully third time charming episode of Speaking with the Dark, and the reason it shall be so very intrinsically charming is that I have with me at this very moment an extra special guest who I have been just dying to interview. He happens to be a very dear friend of mine and a Coachella Valley native who has toured the world with renowned goth and industrial bands such as Regenerator and Phase Theory, and now he resides near the lovely beaches of Florida with his lovely fiancée, the one, the only Mr. Jeremiah Saint, artist, musician, writer, songwriter, vegan, and altogether kindred spirit. And so I shall start by profusely thanking my friend Jeremiah Saint for joining me today and kindly asking him first, in your own words, Jeremiah, who are you, and what is it that you do, and what instruments do you play?
Well, hello, by the way.
Hello.
I've
been waiting quite some while to interview you. This is delightful.
This is pretty awesome, especially those words that you just said about me. I might believe them, almost. Well, I was, and I guess I still am, Jeremiah Saint, a musician, published author, sometimes philanthropist, and honestly all-around nerd. A big one at that. That last part definitely holds true. For most of my life, I was writing constantly, whether it be prose or music. I can tell you for a fact that the majority of it was garbage. But you know, I used some of that, and it turned out to be kind of okay, I guess. Life has a way of changing things, whether you want to or not. I'm now somewhere around the midpoint of my 40s. I found myself stepping away from music and being more of a, at least me making it, listening to it a lot more often. A critic of sorts, sometimes a teacher. These are two things I never really expected in life. I've never given myself enough, I never thought of myself as that great of anything, honestly. So life is a little different now. As far as instruments, that's a loaded question. I think it's better that I ask, what would you like me to play? And does it have to be good? As far as my main instruments, I use that in quotations. It would be the bass guitar and synthesizers, keyboards, which I did throughout most of the bands I've ever been in. Outside of my own projects, I've always either been a bassist or a keyboardist or both. As far as other instruments, trumpet, trombone, guitar, piano, that kind of goes hand in hand with keyboards. Sometimes not, though. I played a little bit of cello. I'm not good. I stress that I'm not good. I haven't really touched the woodwind instruments at all, but I'll pick up anything and I'll give it a try. I'll try to learn as much as I can to write with it and evoke the emotion that I'm trying to produce with it, if that makes sense.
Indeed, I can attest to how well you play these instruments. I cannot agree with you saying that what you have done was garbage, and your other impressive endeavors such as songwriting and music production and publishing books. And you aren't just playing your instruments, of course, so much as you are feeling them and thereby creating a very specifically expressive mood. And speaking of which, what is the mood of the day, or now that we're recording in this evening? How are you feeling at the moment? How is life treating you?
Honestly, dour. It's been relatively dour for a while now, and it's a culmination of the current climate of the world, the current climate of our country, on top of I'm going through a lot of medical issues, a lot of those things that are just like weighing me down, you know, kicking my ass up, down, left, right, into oblivion, it feels like sometimes. I have a lot to be thankful for, and I appreciate that profusely every day. It's just a dour moment, and I'm trying my best to everyone I meet or come in contact with to make their day just a little less. But how are you faring? How are you? I miss the valley. I do.
I feel as though I do have a very united sense of, like you said, the things that we can't do about our current state of the things that are going on, the wars and such with our country. And my condolences to you on your difficulties with your medical issues, and always wish you well and in the best of health. I am also very grateful that I happen to be in good health. I have been going to the gym and exercising a lot more,
Nice.
of course, as it should be. And we should be doing these things, of course, while we are physically capable of doing them, because there will come a day. I'm
There is,
hoping later, rather than sooner. But I would say, there's a saying I've heard people say before, fair to Midland, I suppose, is how I am doing
Yeah, whenever I'm
as well as I can be.
Yeah, no, of course. Whenever I'm at the shop, my day job, I'll have parents ask me, "Oh, how are you today?" And I'll be one comment: "I'm vertical." I am vertical.
That's at least a start, for sure.
Right?
So I do believe that according to the fates, now, according to my memory, that my memory served me correctly, I thought we met in 2013 at a karaoke night at a local bar that existed at the time, which was sort of the local hangout, especially for people who enjoy being on stage and singing in front of people at karaoke night. And you thought we met much sooner than 2013, but I'm trying to recall when exactly it was.
It had to be around 2007, and honestly, I think it might have been earlier, into the era of Frankie J's and Red 74. But I don't think that we were friends even really remotely acquaintances.
I do remember.
Yes, I want to say it's around 2007 because I was working at Farley Interlocking Paving Stones.
Ah, yes. Okay, I do recall that as well now.
My dad's house had burnt down, and you sent a gift to the office, and that's when we, I think, started to be acquaintances. Not close or anything like that, but at the same time, I think you're correct with becoming more friends at Schmitty's because we had more interactions.
True, karaoke nights, and I recall that one of your most favorite musicians to sing for karaoke was, of course, the infamous Marilyn Manson, who I think you might be just a little bit jealous of me for saying that I am planning to go see on All Hallows Eve this year. In fact, with another dear friend of mine who fought very hard to get tickets because the event sold out in all of about 5 minutes. But you were one of those karaoke stars who always stood out to me because you were singing Marilyn Manson and Nine Inch Nails, and also came completely dressed in the fishnet gloves and eyeliner, and very much in the style of those artists. And the science behind the particular vocal style that you were using involves a sustained type of abrasive throat sound that you had me somewhat concerned for. And I recall approaching you and asking you if you thought that was a healthy sound to be making, and you absolutely laughed me off like I had lost my sense of what an appropriate sound is to be making then, and told me that it was a very effective sound in helping you to earn money with your bands. And because I was not familiar with who you were at the time, I thought perhaps you were bluffing, and you were not. So aside from your solo project simply as Jeremiah Saint, let's talk about some of the bands that you've worked with.
Excuse me, before I get to the bands, I want to say I'm absolutely jealous that you're going to see Marilyn Manson. He never comes down to Florida. Tara has not seen Marilyn Manson live, and that is a band that we would like. It's a band that we'd like to see, and we just saw Nine Inch Nails in January, and that was phenomenal.
Now, Nine Inch Nails I have seen several times, but I have yet to see the infamous and I'm most assuredly terrifying Marilyn Manson.
I think you'll have a blast. I think that you will have a blast.
Especially on Halloween. Anything could happen, I'm sure. The building will very likely catch fire and burn down, but let's hope it does not, with us still remaining inside of it.
It might be fun. You could tell ghost stories as a ghost about the event.
Very true.
So bands. Let's start where this really began. Let's start with DSG, or Disintegration. They're kind of desert local legends because they've been around for a while. Punk goth,
Yes,
At its finest.
I clearly remember AJ, but I'm interrupting you. Forgive me.
No, it's fine. It's basically AJ's band. I had met him on this like fable of a website called MySpace back in the day. We were talking about me joining the band, so I showed up for an audition. I had got my wires crossed. I thought I was showing up to audition as a bassist. They had a bassist. Lo and behold, there was a Korg Eb1 set up, and he said, you're on keyboards, and you have 2 weeks to learn. So I went home, and I had a $12 keyboard that could only play one note at a time, and I learned. And I stuck with that band on and off for about 15 years. And it really boosted my confidence and showed me the ropes of playing keyboards. Right around 2007, 6-ish, I joined a band called Death in Dresden. They're a death rock band. Just as bassist. I was with them for about a year. Did a couple live shows with them and whatnot. But during that time, there was a DJ named Absynthesis. And I went to his house in Los Angeles to lay down some tracks for a new album that he's working on. I get there, I knock on the door, and he's sick. He's just absolutely sick and can't do anything. But the owner of the house, his name was Kirk, had a full studio and his own side project called Phase Theory, had me come check out some songs. I laid down some tracks and whatnot. We had a great time. I left. 2 weeks later, I heard I was going to be on the album and I was in the band.
Amazing. Absolutely.
It just started working fast, but within those 2 weeks, I was at a bookstore that I used to love called Borders, and I had seen Patrice and Rex of Regenerator. I'd recognized them, and we started talking. We exchanged numbers and whatnot. 2 days later, they asked me for dinner at the Yard House. No plugs to any of these places. This is just where we had dinner.
Right.
They asked me, like, so what instruments do you play? And we were talking, and they're like, okay, how would you like to play keyboards in Vegas next weekend? And I said, that would be awesome. And then said, well, we'll send you the set list, and then we'll see you in Vegas. And both those bands I was in for about 7 years. And I got to a lot of opportunities to see this country, parts of the world, experience things that not many people get to experience or even get to do. Within those 7 years, I had been honing myself, my own music, on and off, learning production, learning what I wanted to convey. And if one was to listen to my discography from beginning to now, it's chaos. It's a bunch of genres mixed together but separated. I'm just trying to evoke whatever emotion I was trying to get out within writing that song. Now, I've been in and out of other bands that really it was just not a lot of time to even really mention them. No offense to them or anything like that, but the core bands that I did name were the ones that helped me evolve in life, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And I admit that even I myself had always wanted to be considered the type of artist that you would have liked to have had as a part of your live show. But as artists, we tend to have very particular tastes, especially when it comes to certain specific projects. And so I have just been so thrilled to have gotten to know you better over the years and be considered talented enough to appear on your Rights Wronged compilation, as well as the collaboration that we did for the Animal Sanctuary, and perhaps as a fellow vegan, or for whatever reason you finally decided to take a liking to my music. But in terms of your solo projects, let's talk about some of the band members that you recruited to work with and what it is that you were seeking with members in terms of the ones that joined you on stage for your live shows.
Let me first say that I would have loved to have done a show with you.
Well, that's very sweet of you.
It just never worked out, whether it be mentally or physically or whatever was going on at the time. I didn't do a lot of shows after I left Los Angeles, and it was like kind of a different era for me. But let's get to the members. So believe it or not, I've only had one real official member. And by the way, I am describing that or saying that it's only one other person that wasn't a hired musician actually played their instruments on stage. And that would be Dan Fan, or Dan Fear Phantom. He was my lead keyboardist for a number of years. He used to show up to shows when I was just a solo artist, just by myself on stage. And after one show, he came up and he said, "Hey man, I can play these instruments. I want to join your band." I said, "Okay, let's audition." And then this was after a show. well, I was going to plan it like for the next week or so. The next night, he sent me a bunch of videos of him playing, and I was like, okay, you're in, dude. And he was in. As far as it goes with the other members of my bands, like the X's and whatnot, they were just pretending. They were just there for people to look at them, I suppose. I tried to teach, but they didn't want to learn type of stuff.
And they were very lovely to behold. Absolutely. I remember Damphir Phantom. I remember meeting him at Schmitty's. And if anyone has ever coined the term heavy black zombie apocalypse club stomping boots, I do recall that he was infamous for wearing those. Absolutely.
The dude would drive in them too, which was insane. Like, I had other members play drums and guitars and stuff like that. But they weren't members. They were just hired on for shows and whatnot. I think Dan, if I were to do something again and he was in, I'd have him back. He was a great musician. He was great to work with. As far as it goes, people joining my stuff, I only have a few caveats, and it's chemistry. You gotta have chemistry. It's like a romantic relationship. You're gonna be with those people for a while. You're writing music, which is very emotional generally. There's a lot of music out there that's not. Also, be as good as me or better. That'd be pretty cool. I'm not the greatest musician in the world, but I can play my instruments. And have your own stuff. Pretty simple, be sober on stage type stuff.
I would say there's a very reasonable request. Yes, absolutely.
It's like bare minimum, honestly. That's always what I looked at when I looked at for other people who wanted to join that were outside of those current significant others.
I see. I'd like to take a moment to talk about your recent works. I have been playing a few of your songs already among the Dancing with the Dark Sunday Night Dance Party collection, but years ago, at some point, I recall losing connection with you for a while, and when I finally ran into you again, very surprised to see you back in this area, you had just released Mortus Ignis. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
You are. It stands for Dead Fire.
I was drawn in by the song Until the Universe Implodes. And of course, we'll never forget it. So who wrote that particular song? Was it a collaboration? And in your own words, what is that song about?
Wow. First, I want to say I was an asshole when I was younger. We all can be sometimes.
I believe I was as well.
That has nothing to do with the song. The song Mortus Ignis. Well, as far as Jeremiah Saint goes, the music, anything that I do, I 100% do everything. It's all written by me. I just do everything. I think of it like an artist painting a picture. Like Picasso wouldn't want someone else to come in and just do the red bits or anything like that. This is my deepest song, and it has to do with suicide. My suicide, to be exact. At the time of writing it, it was potential. It was potential, and then later failed. I was in a terrible mental state. A lot of that I brought to myself. Ideas of things that I thought should have been, or I placed too much emotion in areas that didn't necessarily matter so much, and I was destroying myself because of those things. This was kind of like the final exhale of everything that I had lived through until the moment that I spoke those words. I sung those words. It started with a mere guitar part and ended with me wanting to hang myself from the stars and burn until the universe implodes. This was the first song that I really invoked my nerd, especially my space nerd. I've always kind of included it, but it had been subtle. This song is about the most bottom of the pit, saddest that I had ever been in that moment. Cry.
Yes, having known you for a number of years and just knowing some of what you've been through, when I listened to this song, I could only feel the honesty and the tragedy of all that had come to pass thus far. And this was written before you moved out of this area. And I felt to sense that you were experiencing a dead-end cycle, and it truly shows in the entire performance and expression of this song. And the line from the chorus, as you mentioned, is just so haunting. I want to hang myself from the stars, return to the sun and burn until the universe implodes. It leaves such a mental image of just the most worn out, abused, poor, driven soul hanging itself from the stars, or just giving up at last in order to be put out of a final torturous ongoing misery. And it is an absolute dark gem, a true work of art. The entire Mortis Ignis album is. Do you mind telling me what types of recording techniques you are using, or is that something that you cannot reveal because it's top secret?
It's not top secret at all. Really, all it is when I do anything is I turn on Logic and I just pour myself out. Sometimes I'll do a song like Doo Doo Kaka Pee Pee, which I have not released to the world. I've only released it to a number of people. It's silly, it's dumb, but it's a techno dance beat.
I do not recall.
I will send it to you.
I've heard Doo Doo Kaka Pee Pee before, but yes, please enlighten me.
Once I find it through my archives, I will send it to you. It is just a dance song that says that in repeat in robot voice. Let's get back to Mortis Ignis. Let's use Until the Universe Implodes, because that was the parent of everything that followed on that album. I just put down some drum loops, some basic stuff, and I recorded a guitar melody. And that started simple guitar melody. I used my Wildcat. It's a semi-hollow body guitar. I love how bassy it gets. Then I followed that with some bass guitar. If you want to know, it's a Thunderbird, a Gibson Thunderbird. Followed by keys, and then I programmed some real drums. And then as far as vocals come, I rarely write anything down. I usually just press record and I let whatever comes out come out. And then I'll go back and I'll listen and then I'll edit. And I'll be like, well, no, this word works better here in this sentence. And I edit it and fix it. And then I record the vocals for real, except for this song. That's one take. Just full emotion. Nothing had been written down. Just everything came out as it came out. After that happened, I added some more key parts to it. I put it on Facebook as a demo, not thinking anybody would like it. This is around 2012, 2013. A lot of people ended up liking it, a lot, which kind of kicked the fire to having me remaster it and want to make this album and put it out. And my technique for any of this is I don't really have one. I just do it. I do have a technique when it comes to like mixing and mastering and final editing and stuff like that, but that's a secret. I can't tell you that. There is not a funny story, but like while I was doing this album, my friend Gloria, who had been a supporter forever, just sent me an a cappella version, her version of the song. And I had decided, I didn't tell her, I had decided to cut it up and match it and put it on the album as an adverse version, her version vocally, as kind of a surprise.
Yes, I recall enjoying her version as well, although I don't think I really come to appreciate it quite as much as your original version, but definitely worth adding, I think, as you decided to do.
I was God-stopped. I had never had anybody sing my music other than someone who was doing a remix for something. I was just blown away, honestly.
Well, we would do the Gothic and Industrial World a great injustice if I did not, in fact, now share the song in its entirety. And so without further ado, this is Until the Universe Implodes by the one and only Jeremiah Saint.
cast down. I wanna hang myself from the stars, return to the sun and burn. I wanna hang myself from the stars, return to the sun and burn.
As I said before, an absolute dark gem. It's one of those you can just put on repeat and let really sink in and just feel the kindred sense of the countless others who have likewise been abused and overlooked and neglected in so many ways. It's tragic, but listening to it has an effect that soothes. So there is another song that we have included as well in our Dancing with the Dark playlist.
So the song is called Altar, and the version that I have on this EP is Lies B-side, like Lies beside, because it's not the final version. It's just this version for what it is. It's a song about religion, mostly Christianity, and it has nothing to do with like I'm an atheist. It has nothing to do with who Jesus could have been or whatnot. It's the followers and the leaders of said religion and how they treat their flock.
I have seen many documentaries on cults and other such abuses that take place within so many different forms of people who almost seem to be in the business end or
yes,
things having to do with it that become very abusive, taking people to these camps where they need to have some form of remediation in the form of physical abuse, and so many reasons for people to believe unquestioningly about so many things. And I enjoy the intro of the song that has a lot of little samples.
Yes.
And then it gets into where your lyric really kicks in and you start to talk about all of your frustrations with these atrocities that you have witnessed. And so I understand that this is something that really has helped you deal emotionally with perhaps some of your own abuses as well. Were you forced into that form of belief as a child?
I was not forced per se, but I had some things said to me that were not very kid-friendly. I chalk this up to a young single father who was on chemical substances, not knowing what to do or how to do that, while also having their own psychosis. That's the real determination of it, but it didn't help my... You know what? It did help, because it made me who I am. It made me see just what other people are going through and what the institution of religion does to people, how it manipulates and controls. That leads into government manipulation and control, and I'm adversely against all of that.
Yes, and I think very much in this song, those emotions come through, and they come through beautifully. And so I am also going to now, for those who have not heard this song yet on Dancing with the Dark, I'm going to share this song now in its entirety, because it is so worth the listen, especially for other people who hear it and have their own kindred emotions associated with this type of song. This is Altar by the one and only Jeremiah Saint.
Their flesh. It made me feel like they were a permanent part of me. Besides the just mere curiosity of what it would be like, it made me feel like they were a part of me on a big sexual satisfaction.
I'll say goodbye from all girl slaves, preaching peace while they teach hands. Prey away on weak-minded sheep. Give them a curse so they won't think. Rewritten words over again all night. Everything is
sexual, their flesh, sexual,
Your work is just so completely magnificent, and I know you always have some little iron in the fire, or perhaps even big iron in the fire, and so I have to ask, what, of course, are you working on now?
As of right now, I'm not writing anything, but there's a huge but. You know, Sir Mix-a-Lot would be jealous about this but. I've been working on something for about a decade. I have a bunch of songs, either storyboarded or somewhat written. I need to record them. The name of the album will be called White Sun, and it's WIGHT and then SUN, which means Ghost Sun or Ghost Star. There's more the nerd from me.
I do believe you are the biggest Star Wars nerd I've ever
Yes.
encountered in my lifetime. That I can attest.
You know what? You know my best friend Manuel. We are pretty damn close. I win, though. I definitely win. I read more books.
More of the Star Wars books, you mean, this series of Star Wars?
Yes, I've read about 200 of them.
Goodness.
So, White Sun will be my magnum opus for Jeremiah Saint, that project. This will be the final thing that I'm going to intend to do with it. I'm hoping that it will be out before I'm 50. If it's not, then I'm going to slate it for 55 and a half, my 666 month birthday.
Oh, goodness.
I'll slate it for
yes,
that.
Absolutely. I've never done the math on that, so it's interesting to think that when I'm 55 and a half years old,
You need to have a 666 birthday.
166 months.
Months,
correct?
yeah.
Hilarious.
There's a lot of songs and demos of songs that I've never shared with anyone, and they will be finalized. They will be put on this album, and it will be a story of me. The final version of Valentine Heart will be on there. The final version of Altar will be on there, just to name a few. Probably the final version of Matter will be on there as well. Some songs that you've heard. I've evolved as a musician, especially working at a music shop that is also a school. I have learned so much in the past, 3 years? I never thought I would learn, and it's just only helped.
Well, despite having been through so much, you are such a hilarious and hilariously fun, interesting person, multi-talented person. And I'm certain that you must have other special interests and endeavors besides songwriting. So what are your hobbies? What do you do for fun when you're not working or songwriting or recording?
So as far as being hilarious goes, Robin Williams, he was such an inspiration. A tormented soul who didn't want other souls to have the same torment. I try to do the same. Now, you think I'm just a Star Wars nerd? Oh, you know I play video games.
Ah, yes.
There's so much more than that. There's so much more. So I haven't released this publicly, only a few people know. I'm working on a tabletop RPG. For those of you that don't know, tabletop RPG is, let's use Dungeons and Dragons as
the most famous example.
Yes, the most famous example. And I have created one. I have done all the math, I've done all the classes, I've done all the enemies, I've done all the interactions on spreadsheets and whatnot for my game. It's kind of like a roguelike. It's hard, but it doesn't have to be. And I'm working on that on and off when I get free time and inspiration. That's the biggest thing, is inspiration, because I can't really do something without being inspired to do so. Otherwise it comes out like garbage. That is one thing that I'm working on the side. And if I get everything together and it works out, it's going to be pretty rad. Now,
you finished
back
it.
to,
of course, I would love to play it. Absolutely. I'll have to.
Oh yeah, definitely. We can definitely do that online. Everybody that's listening that has a Twitch that enjoys video games, if you enjoy people who are good at video games, I'm not your forte. I am terrible. I'm kind of funny.
I will beg to differ. I have seen you play many times in the Battle Royale, especially when you have a good team with Apex Legends, and of course, everybody knows, as you so fondly refer to it, Fart Fight.
Yes, Fart Fight.
But you're very good at those.
I play games to have fun, not to be good. I play games, and I figure, you know what? Why not stream it on Twitch? If people want to come out and hang out and shoot the turds and whatnot and just have a good time, I'm there. I'm twitch.tv/Jeremiah Saint. I'm there almost every day. There are some days that I'm not there, but I'm there pretty often playing video games.
Yes, I see you sometimes there logged in, and I wish that I had more time to just hang out in the chat and
That's the thing,
have
time.
some longer conversations.
As we age up in the world, our time becomes less and less and less, even if we're not doing much. For some reason, time just eludes.
Very true. That is very true. So now the name of the Sunday night show is Dancing with the Dark. And so I have to, of course, ask you, what is your darkest fear? What frightens you the most?
You know, I don't have any fears of anything. And I know a lot of people will say that, but it's more of like, I'm indifferent, or like I don't care if something happens, it happens, when it only involves me.
And that in itself perhaps is a bit intimidating or frightening. And I do feel like it is rather a bit of a shame that we are not recording this to video, because I have always said about you that you have an overall look or an overall energy about your outward appearance that is not only aesthetically beautiful from head to toe, but you look like someone who could walk through fire and not get burned. That is the only way that I know how to describe your look. That is the
I may or may not have done that before. But let's go back to fears, because I have no real fears for myself. It's all for others. My significant other and her son, I absolutely fear for their well-being. But even more so, I fear what the world is becoming for everyone. Even the idiots out there. It frightens me for them. It frightens me for the youth. It's a very scary place right now. I don't want to bring the show down, but if there's a fear, that is one that I guess I have.
Well, I did ask you that question, and so you are answering my question very honestly. Have you ever witnessed anything that could be referred to as supernatural or ghosts or paranormal activity? And if so, what was it?
Okay, as you know, I'm a nerd, but I'm also very logical, so perhaps, but I've probably explained it away. Except when I was about 10 years old. Okay, this isn't supernatural, this is going to lean more towards the nerd space part of me, but I was at Palm Desert Park, and I was looking towards the mountains, like if you were to look south, and there was two things in the sky flying around each other's in circles over the mountains and then disappeared.
And
that is the most
paranormal. That is considered.
Yeah, it's not normal. So yeah, it is paranormal. It is. I can't explain what it was. Like other things that I've seen have been like a borealis or something like that. That was just radiation that was hitting the atmosphere. Most other things I can explain away.
That is a very interesting experience, though, and it's always a shame whenever these things happen that we have no recording device with us at the moment to be able to capture.
It's a shame, but it isn't, because that is my experience that I shared with my dad, because he saw it as well, and that's something that we have together.
You both remember it forever, absolutely. So very much like myself, I feel as though we are kindred spirits in that I am a ghost host with a bit of an impish sense of humor, and you as well have the impish humor, and I tend to even be somewhat of a practical joker of a spirit even. And so to lighten some of this dark and deviant mood, I have of course to ask you, what is your favorite joke or the most hilarious thing that has ever happened to you?
Okay, this isn't a joke. This happened last week. I come in contact with a lot of students and parents and whatnot, and I'm usually like either everybody's uncle or adopted dad or therapist, kind of like a bartender without the alcohol. So I was asking this student, 7-year-old girl, I was like, how was your day? And I was walking around like just doing some stuff, and they were telling me about their day, and she had mentioned a friend, and I stopped and I said, you have friends? You know, I joke and whatnot, and without skipping a beat, she looked me directly in the eye and said, I'd be surprised if you had friends with those dumb Elf on the Shelf ears. That had to be one of the best things I had heard in, I mean, she's not wrong, in forever. I mean, it was great. This little girl has some sass on her, but I mean, like at that moment, I was like, oh my god, that was perfect. That was just perfect.
Something from a movie. That is hilarious.
Yeah.
That's absolutely hilarious.
Would you like my favorite joke in the world? It is probably the dumbest joke you will ever hear.
Yes, absolutely. Let's hear it.
I want to say I probably told you this probably 10 years ago or something. So, there are 2 muffins baking in the oven. One is a blueberry muffin, one is a chocolate chip muffin. The blueberry muffin goes, man, it's getting hot in here. The chocolate chip muffin goes, ah, a talking muffin. It's dumb, but the first time I heard that, I laughed for 10 minutes straight.
That is a good one. So I know that Mortis Ignis just happened to be one of your latest projects, but what are your upcoming plans? I know you mentioned about the release of the tabletop game, but is there anything local or any other upcoming releases or anything else that you would like to share as far as any upcoming plans?
As far as working on projects and whatnot, I have to save some extra cash. Honestly, I started writing again. It's very akin to my second book, In the Final Moments, but it's more of a journal of a broken man type thing, like kind of reminiscing and how I feel. It's more prose. Now, as far as plans go, the end of next month, I'm scratching a bucket list item off, and I'm going to see Weird Al.
Oh my goodness, that's another one that would definitely be on my bucket list as well. He's starting to get up.
Ashton is 12 years old and he has never been to a concert, a real one, and he loves Weird Al, and we saw he was coming here, and so that's going to be his first concert as well, so it's going to be like a pretty big event for us.
What an excellent first concert for a 12-year-old, absolutely. And you are just absolutely wonderful. I know that all of Southern California misses you, so
I don't know about all of it.
Very much. Oh yes, indeed we do. And I will be sure to look you up, of course, if I'm ever planning a trip your way. But in the meantime, I will absolutely be certain to listen to more of your appalling, absolutely abhorrent, but beautifully fantastic work, and would just like to thank you so very much for joining me for this, our third episode of Speaking with the Dark.
That was awesome. You invoked some things that I hadn't thought about in a good while, because sometimes as we age and we move further from what we once were, we forget what we once were. Thank you. Thank you for asking me to do this.
And I am just so grateful that you were able to join me this evening as well. My dear sweet listener, don't forget to listen to Jeremiah Saint's work, now available on Bandcamp, Spotify, and be sure to watch his Twitch channel,
twitch.tv/Jeremiah Saint.
And look for Jeremiah just about anywhere that you can enter the name Jeremiah Saint into a search engine on your internet devices. This has been Selena, your ghost host of Speaking with the Dark. Please join me next time when my guest will be the one and only Dead Stare from Coachella, California. Until I materialize for the next Speaking with the Dark, please keep listening to Dancing with the Dark as I host our Sunday night Gothic and Industrial Dance Party, which airs every Sunday on the award-winning COD Roadrunner Radio, your music, your voice, your station, from 9 p.m. until the witching hour of midnight.